Love can often feel like a roller coaster, thrilling, confusing, and sometimes downright painful. I know this all too well because I've been there. The heartbreak that leaves you lying awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, unable to shut off the thoughts racing through your mind. The overthinking that turns every text message into a riddle you try to solve, wondering if it's a sign or simply a random thought. The hope that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. But after a lot of soul searching, I came to a realization. Love itself isn't the problem. It's the way we approach it that often leads to the mess. Most of us chase love with the desperation of someone gasping for air, hoping it will save us. We're impatient, unwilling to wait for what's right, and ready to hold on to anything that offers even the faintest bit of relief. We jump into relationships hoping they'll complete us, fill the gaps we haven't learned to fill ourselves. We confuse attention with affection, validation with love, and attachment with connection. But here's the hard truth. When we chase love like that, we aren't really looking for a partner. We're looking for an escape from ourselves. The Stoics had a very different view of love. They didn't see it as something to be hunted down or possessed. Instead, they saw it as something to be built. They believed love starts from within. Because if you don't first cultivate self-awareness, self-respect, and emotional stability, no relationship will ever feel like enough. Love isn't about finding someone to make you whole. It's about becoming whole yourself. Only then, when the right person comes along, can you truly love them deeply without losing yourself in the process. I know because I've been there, too. I used to dive into relationships thinking love would fix everything, that being with someone would somehow fill the emptiness I was too afraid to face. But I learned that love isn't a cure. Relationships aren't there to save us. Expecting love to make you whole is like trying to build a house without laying down a solid foundation. Sooner or later, cracks will start to appear, and when pressure hits, everything will collapse. The Stoics understood this truth. A meaningful life, love included, doesn't come from wishful thinking or blind hope. It comes from discipline, self-awareness, and wisdom. They practiced habits that made them emotionally resilient, independent, and capable of forming deep, lasting connections. They didn't rely on external validation or fleeting passion to define their happiness. And here's the truth. If you start applying these same habits to your love life, you won't just create stronger relationships. You'll become a stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled version of yourself. One of the most important habits is mastering your emotions. I know just how challenging this can be. I've let my emotions get the best of me more times than I can count. Sending that impulsive text, overreacting to something small, or shutting people out because I was afraid of getting hurt. And every time, I regretted it. The truth is, emotions are powerful, but they aren't meant to control us. Marcus Aurelius captured it perfectly when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you'll find strength. The Stoics didn't believe in suppressing emotions. Neither do I. They felt anger, sadness, and frustration, just like we all do. But instead of letting those emotions take over, they observed them. They let anger rise, but didn't let it dictate their actions. They felt sadness, but didn't let it consume them. And that's the key. The next time you feel your emotions swelling like a storm, take a breath. Pause. Observe rather than react. Remind yourself that real strength isn't about never feeling. It's about choosing how to respond. The strongest person in any room isn't the loudest, toughest, or most emotional. It's the one who stays in control, no matter what's happening around them. The second habit that used to consume me is attachment to outcomes. I used to overanalyze everything, where the relationship was headed, if they felt the same way, if it would last forever. The more I obsessed over these things, the more anxious and insecure I became. Sound familiar? It's because most of us fall into this trap. We tie our happiness to things we can't control, and in doing so, we ruin the very thing we want to protect. Epictetus said it best. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. The Stoics understood that love isn't about clinging. It's about giving. When we grip too tightly to expectations like marriage, commitment, or validation, we lose sight of the present moment. We stop appreciating the connection for what it is and start trying to force it into what we think it should be. But love isn't a contract with guarantees. It's a gift you give without demand, without expectation. If it stays, let it stay. If it goes, let it go. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing isn't what happens. It's who you are throughout it all. The third habit is learning to be truly self-sufficient. And I won't sugarcoat it. This one took me a long time to grasp. I used to believe that once I found the right person, everything would fall into place, that they would fix all the gaps in my life. But that's not how it works. The reality is, you need to find peace and fulfillment on your own first. Otherwise, you will always rely on someone else to fill the void, and that isn't healthy for anyone. Learn to stand on your own, emotionally and mentally, is the most empowering thing you can do. When you become self-sufficient, you stop seeking validation from others and start becoming secure in your own worth. That's when true love can flourish, because you can offer love without the need for it to fill your own gaps or complete you. Instead, it becomes a sharing of two whole people, not two halves trying to make a whole. I used to believe that love would fill the gaps in my life, quiet my insecurities, and finally make me feel whole. I thought it would solve everything, offering a sense of completeness I was desperately seeking. But the truth is, if you're not happy being alone, you won't be happy in a relationship. No one can complete you because, deep down, you were never meant to be incomplete in the first place. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, captured this idea perfectly when he said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." So many of us spend our lives waiting for the right person, the right relationship, or the right moment to feel truly happy. We tie our happiness to external things like money, status, or relationships, thinking these things will bring us fulfillment. But the Stoics understood something vital. Happiness doesn't come from outside sources. It comes from within, from your character, your growth, and your ability to stand firm on your own. Instead of searching for someone or something to fill the void, focus on filling it yourself. Learn to appreciate your own company and find peace in solitude. Build a life that feels meaningful on its own, regardless of whether you're in love or not. Because when love does come, it should enhance your life, not be something you depend on just to feel okay. Your happiness shouldn't be reliant on another person. It should come from your own sense of self-worth and inner contentment. Then there's the fourth habit, which is perhaps the toughest of all, radical honesty. And let's be honest, this one is incredibly challenging. I've been guilty of lying to myself, pretending everything was fine when it wasn't, and ignoring red flags simply because I didn't want to face the truth. It's easy to ignore the discomfort reality, but the more we deny the truth, the more we limit our ability to grow and make decisions that truly serve our best interests. We often tell ourselves stories to avoid facing our pain. We minimize our own needs, convincing ourselves that it's not a big deal when in reality, it is. We hide parts of ourselves out of fear that we won't be accepted for who we truly are. But here's the reality. When you try to build a relationship on half-truths, don't be surprised when it falls apart. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Honesty is not just about speaking the truth. It's about living it. Living truthfully means being upfront about what you need, what you want, and who you are, even when it's uncomfortable. It means being transparent without games, manipulation, or pretending. Because if you have to change yourself, diminish your worth, or hide parts of who you are just to be loved, that love is not real. The right person will accept you for all that you are. If they can't handle your truth, then they simply aren't meant for you. Love should never be a space where you feel the need to hide or change who you are in order to fit in. Another important aspect of life and relationships is embracing impermanence. While this can be a difficult concept to grasp, it's an essential one. Everything in life changes, relationships evolve, people change, and one day, whether we are ready or not, we will lose the people we love. The Stoics reflected on mortality, not to feel sad, but to remind themselves to live fully. As Seneca once wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we've come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." Recognizing that nothing lasts forever encourages us to stop taking people and moments for granted. We cherish those around us more, forgive more quickly, and love with greater depth. Instead of fearing the inevitable losses, we learn to make every moment count. The concept of resilience through adversity is also vital to building meaningful connections. Love is not always easy. There will be misunderstandings, disappointments, and heartbreaks along the way. However, Stoicism teaches that hardships are not here to break us. They are meant to shape us. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes a way." Every challenge in love, whether it's a disagreement, a breakup, or rejection, is an opportunity to learn and grow. Rather than seeing pain and difficulty as something to avoid, we should embrace it as a lesson to help us become stronger and wiser. Love doesn't require perfection, but it does require resilience, the ability to endure through both the good and bad times. Finally, the Stoics believe that love should be rooted in virtue, not just passion or attraction. The strongest relationships are built on qualities like integrity, kindness, patience, and respect. These are not fleeting emotions or desires, but deep-rooted characteristics that endure over time. The best partners are those who help us grow into better versions of ourselves, and the best relationships are those that inspire us to be better. True love isn't just about what you get from the relationship. It's about what you give. When both partners invest in the growth and well-being of one another, love becomes a source of strength, joy, and fulfillment that can weather any storm.